Well, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of I Do a Live Stream because, thing. Well, but yeah. So, this week I was planning on doing a bit more of another one of those community videos for Game Builder Garage things and stuff. And, yeah, unfortunately, quite a lot has been happening. In fact, I don't think it's showing. If I could get it there. Um, huh. Hasn't. It's not allowing me. I guess OBS is out of it today. Let me just update that. Huh. Oh well. But yeah, well, let's just get back here. I should probably move that up quite a bit. But yeah, there was supposed to be something here, but oh well. Anyways, um, oh well, something's a bit broken about OBS today, so that's fun. But yeah, but quite a lot's been happening. I've been doing quite a bit of work that's not really YouTube related, and it never really gave me much time to do stuff like this. So I decided that I would go and do another one of these community videos but unfortunately, since I didn't get any time, I just decided I'd do it live. I've been taking on a few actual programming projects that are kind of unrelated to the world of YouTube and all these things, and in fact, like right now, I'm writing code to literally emulate um, my robotics team's robot, just so we can do things like have something fancy like an AI on our as our autonomous mode. So that's fun. But anyways, so yeah, I decided to do a bit of a I've but a few other things happened today, so I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna do it as a live stream. I'm too lazy today. So we've got a bit of a list of games that we're gonna take a bit of a look at. Um, so I've got quite a few actually. Um, so I think we should probably start out with um, the first game. I'm doing this by a list that's kind of off camera, and unfortunately, because the screen share ain't working, it's not going to show up like that. Um, and so yeah, the first game, Ultimate Car Simulator. Now most of these games I did actually play through a little bit before going live, and so yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of. This is kind of the first game that really caught my interest. You can kind of see exactly why it's it's a game, is all I could say. But I mean, the world building might not be that big, but for a car game, that's not half bad, really. Um, so yeah, so I just took a look at this, and and it is pretty realistic, and and the attention to detail is pretty well taken into account. In fact, this is actually probably going to be a huge theme for today's stream. Hello. Hello, John Fortnite. Welcome into this hellhole of a stream. So, yeah. So, this game, it's a thing. You don't have much. You don't have much to really go off of. The controls are a bit odd. Because you swap through the gears with ZL and ZR. And by default, it's all manual transmission, so that's fun. And yeah, and for some reason, the car has only 4 gears, which is another theme that appears constant. I don't know why, but yeah. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. So, yeah, don't know what physics are like. Oh, that's physics then. So, well, if I'm gonna do like I do in all of my community videos. I'm gonna give it the good old score, and I think I think this I think this deserves a pretty good solid 8 out of 10. There's a lot of there's I do like the realism and the accuracy of how things play out and how the car was made, but but yeah. In fact, I do kind of like how some of the ideas. In fact, there's a lot of ideas that, even in the limited world building, could come in handy in some of the other projects that said I wanted to improve the world building on, but didn't really. So I'm probably going to up my score to probably like an 8.5, something, something I have an idea for. And, yeah, not a huge fan of the controls, and, you know, and even though most of the Node on are pretty much used with like literally a majority of it, like 508 out of 512, yeah, it's pretty insane. And even having systems in place for it, even having things in place for like rain and all that, it is a pretty cool concept, but you know, maybe in with a bit of realism things, a few changes with not trying to be as realistic as possible. Maybe a bit of world building would help, but but otherwise, it's great. Anyways, so on to the next game, which is a bit more of a, which is delivery time. Um, this game seems pretty interesting. This is the only one that I never really played. So the idea is that you should be able to, you make a TV and you just have to deliver them. So kind of reminds me of most tycoon games. So yeah, this is pretty interesting. How it plays out. Unfortunately, though, the getting onto the buttons isn't the easiest, but the whole punching the button thing doesn't really play out that great anyways. And there we go, come on. Make more. Okay, we've made as much as we need. And there's not very much we could really do in this case. Just that, and it's very hard to find a sweet spot to where we should punch, to where we can punch the button. Come on. Get somewhere. Otherwise, yeah. So it's a very simple game at this point. Come on. I know we have more. We have 2 more. Here we go. Do I have to go real fast for it? Why don't we just send this one out? Yep. Well, hey, physics is enabled for that one. That's fun. Come on. Nope. Oh, there's that last order, and that concludes that game. Well, it's very simple. I do quite like the. I do quite. I don't know. I don't know how much I feel about the shortness. Well, actually, the shortness of it is pretty adequate. It's a pretty simple little game. You just do a thing, and you just got. It's pretty quick. I'm not gonna say it's terrible. It's a pretty enjoyable experience. There's a lot of issues that I have with how it handles controls and stuff, but it's not half bad, really. I'm gonna give it a good solid. I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 again, because the controls are a bit of a thing with me. But then again, I guess the controls, they add a bit of randomness into how things run in the game. So it's like, oh yeah, these controls kind of add a bit of challenge and a bit of length to the game, but still, it's kind of confusing, and I don't know how to feel about it. So I'm gonna give it the nice good old 8 out of 10 because yeah. All right, next game, Mario 3D Model. Now this one's another one of those simple ones that I just kind of found, and I was like, oh, that's a thing. I will say it is pretty accurate, kind of. I mean, it's pretty simple. I think it's been simplified so you can actually include it in your own kind of creations and stuff, which is pretty okay and pretty good. Yeah. And the way it was executed is not half bad, really. And, you can literally walk around and it'll work. So there's not much to really say or do here other than, oh, it controls, it does the thing, and the animations are pretty accurate to actual Mario. I don't know if it's actually doing it through a lot of things or whatever, or how it's doing it. But yeah. But yeah, that's a pretty interesting one. Um, pretty simple little thing. I'm gonna have to give that. I don't know how what score I'd give it if I did give it a score. It would probably be 9.5, maybe even a 10 out of 10. It's a model. The idea is that you can copy it, and it's low enough. It's low enough in part count and realism that it could probably go into any game if you if you needed it. But ideally a platformer, obviously. But it's pretty good because then you have more space to do things. Even though you probably have to adapt the game and you have to make an adaptation of it and just to get it to work because that's annoying. Because you can't just copy and paste from other things and stuff here. And that brings us to our next game, Tag Ultimate Showdown, which is a multiplayer game. But I'm just gonna act like I'm the. But I'm just gonna act like I am the. But it's actually really simple the way you play it, the way you act is that player 1 is the left stick and player 2 is the right stick, which is not bad for controls. Well, that was a bit of a tactical draw there, even though player 1 won. But yeah, very simple game. There's a lot of areas to do it. It's all from a top-down perspective, obviously, and for a nice little 2-player game, it's not half bad. Obviously, I'm just playing it with myself, so there's not much strategy going down here. But anyways, so it's pretty interesting. I wonder if I can run it for as long. I can run it so nobody wins by just having the timer be down a bit. And yeah, it's pretty interesting because it is pretty well done. Oh wow, okay, so that's pretty interesting. So blue would win if the oh yes, blue would win if the timer runs out. So that's yeah, I might yeah. Well, for a simple yeah, it's not bad. From a simple from the perspective of a simple 2-player offline party game kind of thing. I I'm not gonna be too overly critical on it. I'm probably gonna say, it was pretty well thought out. Textures seem to be pretty well made. I'm gonna have to give that a good 9 to 9.5 out of 10, maybe even a full-on 10 out of 10. You really can't get any simpler than this, and I mean, hey, it's not half bad, really. So yeah, so here we are, just going through these a little bit. And on our next one is actually a bit of a game that we might want to spend a bit more time on, because this is Planet Forest, which is a story-based game, as evidenced by the fact that we load into a loading screen, and it has all of the codes on it, and I do like how the developer stylized the buttons on it, so it's all pretty good looking. Um, it is a bit of a thing where the title screen, I don't know how to feel about it. Seems pretty okayish. You can just, it's just you choose your chapter and but yeah. So this plays out in days, and I think this is mostly, and I think each different version of it, each level, each day is a completely different game type. So, so that's actually a pretty interesting tutorial. Because that would be pretty interesting if it is. Oh, and okay, so also the shooting system, the little weapon that appears in game doesn't really become useful until you reach past the red line. I will say, for a game that's got a very simple premise, it is kind of like a bit harder to beat, I'd say. It's not like it's really really hard to beat. It's just getting the right amount of area to shoot to get there, to get past it. All right, so after that, we just shoot and we just stay straight and yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, and this is actually pretty interesting. I was not expecting that. Hold up. That's interesting. I was not expecting that one. I should probably be using the little shooting mechanism a bit more than I have been. Okay, let's get past that. Oh, that's interesting. It uses it as a wall, basically. And that's your... No, it's not the final boss. Okay, that's interesting. Alright. Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. So you have a survive mode if you hit the ZR 3 times on start. That's a thing. Oh, and then there's some goal to get into it. Ah, I see. You have 10 things you have to fight against. Oh, okay, and you teleport in between the two areas. I would say the world building that happens is pretty well done. Okay. Also, that's a bit of a thing. Oh, okay, so if you touch the green thing, it will not let you go through. Okay. Oh, and these little bear things are kind of the enemy. Well, I mean, oh, I see. That is an interesting game mechanic. Um, you know, let's see. I'm not going to spoil the rest of the game, so I might stop here or whenever I next fail and all that. But, and I'm definitely going to be playing more of this on my own terms because, I feel like this doesn't really need to be spoiled. That's pretty interesting, actually. I quite liked it. It's for what it is. I mean, the textures, seems like they were drawn by hand. It's acceptable. Not everybody could get an Arduino Leonardo, I guess, and can mod that to do all the drawing and all that and mouse things. But for what it is, from a story perspective and from a controls perspective and from how it switches things up, it's not half bad, really. And from what I saw in the part 2 section of it, there is a lot of there's a lot of stuff you can do post game. So if you get bored post game, you can just hop into the part two and just do that. I don't know what 3 and 4 are like, but I mean, hey, they're all probably different game modes and game versions and different things. So yeah, I'm not. I'm. I would give that a strong 9.5, if not a 10 out of 10. You know, just for how it is alone. You know, even if textures are a bit lackluster, but you know what? You know, it looks okay. All right, so the next game. This is probably one of those games that we're gonna, which is kind of the contrary to the other one, and it's gonna be like one of those. Yeah, we're gonna be doing kind of the opposite, and it's this, which is a Deltarune platformer thing. So, as you may know, if you've ever played Deltarune, well, it's not really a platformer. It's just more of an RPG kind of game, and this kind of does a thing with it. So, what this is, it's mostly a template file where it has all the characters and all the models and things imported from the game. Well, not really the models, but just the sprites. And you just get in there and you can just play through a bit of. You can make your own Deltarune levels, I guess, based on it, and it's kind of simple. But I'm probably not going to give this one a bit of a review because, well, it's designed to be a tool and not an actual game. So I'm probably just going to leave it as like maybe a 9.5 out of 10. I really don't know what I'd score it as. It's just, again, it's a dev kit at this point rather than an actual thing in a place, and yeah. And yeah. All right, so the next game is Rat Smash, which is posted by Ratman, which I don't know if I think I've had a few Ratman games on on um the on here, but yeah. Oh yeah, I think I have, because it's that one where it's like the rat obstacle course, and yeah. So now we go to basically smashing them with a hammer, which is not which I guess could be pretty concerning to those who don't like the whole killing things construct. But but I chose to. But it's actually kind of one of the more popular games, and visually it looks pretty nice. Um, so the idea is that you're supposed to just take the rats and decimate them, and yeah, you just smash them. It's a bit of a game. I do quite like the concept. You just do the thing, and yeah, it takes use of 3D perspective pretty well. Unfortunately, though, there's not too much reactivity behind the reaction times of the hammer isn't really the greatest, so don't expect to do what I'm doing and spam fire and actually win at this. So, yeah, from a lot of standpoints, I think this is a very worthy contender for a 10 out of 10. Even though even though you might not agree with the concept behind the game, from a graphical standpoint, it's not half bad, really. From a control standpoint, it's pretty okayish. I'm gonna give that a 9. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'll probably give it about a 9.5. And yeah. All right. And the next game, which is confusingly put next to the first game we showed off, is this, which from, even though it shows as Japanese here, on the computers, on the actual Game Builder Garage hosting site thingo, it shows as, it's named Plateau Simulator, and yeah, in this case it's running off a similar API as I'd say to the that car simulator we had. Um, and much like that car simulator we had, not too much is going down. But what I find interesting is quite a few things actually. Um, if you notice, well, the tires they actually spin, but the way they do that, the way they achieve that is through having through having it cycle through four different sprites, which is, I guess, a thing that they did as kind of like a, well, it couldn't really do something, so yeah, we're just gonna do it like that. And much like the last game, there's not very much in terms of stuff for that. And yeah. So yeah, it does seem to be pretty high on the node on count, and there's a pretty good amount of things that go on. Um, and much like most of the car simulators I saw, there is a manual transmission system here, which is pretty interesting. And much like the last game we featured, it can do it. It does it through a 4-gear system, but unlike the last one, it doesn't show you an actual image of what the manual transmission, the shifter would look like in real life. But you know, I'm not going to count it against it. You know, it is actually pretty accurate, and I guess programming simulators for doing all that stuff is pretty easy these days. I guess, you know. You just have your little thing on the left for, you know, how many times, how many RPM you're going, and you know, that's all you really need after that point, I guess. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm gonna give this. I'm probably gonna say that it's there could be a bit more to be done. You know, there's an adequate amount of wiggle room to do a bit more with it, you know. So I'm probably going to give it maybe about a 7.5 or an 8. The big thing is that it's got a lot of it's the controls aren't the controls, they're controls, but they don't tell you what the controls really are, except for like here, but that's just settings, and that's for all the host stuff. That's all for the Nintendo side of things. And so yeah, think an 8 out of 10 would pretty much be adequate for this. I don't know. And that brings us to our final game for this little thing, and that is Noto Desert Explorer. Well, it's a thing. I guess we're doing so. Clearly, we're in a desert. Well, that's interesting. Quite a bit of platforming here. You know, it's a pretty much deserted desert. Yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff going on. Clearly, if there's like that many Nodon being used. I don't know what the block with the number block is doing on top, but it's doing something. It is doing a thing or two. So yeah, let's see what's in here. Okay, nothing. These are kind of unused buildings, and they just exist. Oh. Oh, okay, they're just there. Yeah, they just exist because this is supposed to be representative of a town, I presume. Alright, so yeah, it's quite a lot of things to be doing, but you know, it's pretty much like a good amount of them. You know, clearly that's lava, and you know, you just have to kind of do some pretty careful maneuvering onto there, and oh, I strafed a little bit too much. But yeah. Oh, well, But yeah, that's a thing. Um, so yeah, so I'm not sure if I can give it a bit of a review. I don't know what I'm gonna give it yet, but yeah. Okay, so we do have a bit of a goal. So we do have 9 treasure chests we have to find. That was one of them. The other one is up there. The other one was just over there, kind of not in a very hard spot, but it's like you do have to be a bit precise with things. And I do quite like the amount of challenge that was involved in the making of this. So I'm probably gonna give it, I don't know. I'm gonna say, controls. There's not very much really, I could really give it for a basis to review on. But but what I can probably give it a review on, controls. It's basic. Graphics. Well, I mean, it uses stock graphics, but I don't really care. It makes use of the stock graphics actually pretty well. Actually, there are a few custom ones. There are a few custom textures, I think. Yeah, that's a custom texture right there. That was pretty well drawn, I'd say, and yeah, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it quite a lot of points, I'd say. Um, you know, I will say from a graphics, a story, and a gameplay perspective, it's not half bad. So I'm gonna have to give it a 9.5, if not a 10 out of 10 on this one. It's pretty well made and it does pretty good at its job. So, yeah. So, with that being said, I think that's going to conclude today's little live stream thing where we did the thing. Um, again, not very much is happening. There are more full videos on the pipeline of me doing stuff. Recently, my 3D printer broke down, so that's fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to repair it a bit because I've been experimenting with the PETG material a bit. And if you've known how that stuff is, it's sometimes it could be a blessing and sometimes it could be a curse. And I kind of need the 3D printer at this point in time, but it's not really working because the hot end's been the hot end heat block's been cross threaded, and that's fun. So yeah, make sure to subscribe. So if you are interested in the kind of content that does come out on this channel, make sure to go ahead and watch it. I do videos about Game Builder Garage, Splatoon, and quite a few other things actually. If you want to subscribe, well, the button exists. It's totally your call, and yeah. And so yeah, with that being said, that's gonna do it for today's video, and bye.